Alright, everybody, welcome back to this third rendition of Olympic hockey on Dropping the Buck with your host here. Before we get into the episode, I'd like to take a moment, shout out our sponsor today, Harpoon Brewery. Harpoon Brewery is a brewery based out of Boston, Massachusetts, with a bunch of with their partners UFO Beer Company, Clown Shoes, and Long Trail Brewing Co. Now, with St. Patty's Day being right around the corner, obviously that's something that, people might really want to get invested in with, all their merch, some of their glassware, and even for man's best friend, they have a couple things they could call collar niche combo to really show off their festive side as well as yours. So obviously use the promo code BUCK2026, that's BUCK2026 on next checkout to get 25% off your very next purchase. Thank you again to Harpoon Brewery for sponsoring this rendition, and on to the main part. Now, obviously, with the round robin, the tournament, the prelims play finally wrapping up earlier today. The matchups have officially been set for the medals. So, for the play, obviously the top four teams being Canada, the U.S., Slovakia, and Finland, all ranking either the number one seed in their pool, or Finland being the highest second seeded team in their pool. They all get a first round bye, automatically punching themselves a ticket for the quarterfinals. Now, for the rest of the teams, obviously they all got reseeded and will play kind of in the prelim play-in round in order to solidify themselves for a medal. And those being the 5 seed Switzerland playing the 12 seed Italy. The winner of that game will play Canada. That's going to be on February 17th. Then the 6 seed Germany versus the 11 seed France. Obviously, the winner of that will go up against the US of A, also playing on February 17th. Next up will be the 7th ranked team Sweden versus the 10th seeded team Latvia. Winner will play Slovakia, also on February 17th. And finally, to wrap it up, the 8th seeded Czechia versus the 9th seeded Denmark will play against the winner of that game will play against Finland. All of them being on February 7th. The first round 4 games will be on February 17th. Times TBA per the IIHF. With the quarterfinals picking up the following day on the 18th. Again, all to be announced by the IIHF. Starting at 6:10 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. I have to say, Canada absolutely freaking dominated. Not surprising, just because of how solid that team is. Just loaded with absolute superstars, studs, including that first power play unit of McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby, Makar, and Sam Reinhart, and the young phenom in Celebrini. I think he's scored 4 goals in this tournament. I don't have his exact stats pulled up, unfortunately, but just an absolute star-studded team, as well as an 11-0 blowout. The Finns over the host nation of Italy. I'm not surprised, unfortunately, when it comes to Italy placing the bottom seed, as well as France second from the bottom. Unfortunately, those nations really aren't built for Olympic rosters or Olympic-esque teams. It sucks to say, because it's nice to see some of these newer nations are not as big hockey-based nations playing on the world stage. But you got to learn somehow, and unfortunately, we had to throw them here on the deep end. Switching over to the women's side of things. Now, for the women's side of things, we are now down to the Final Four. The first matchup being Team USA versus Team Sweden. That's starting at 16:40 Italy time or 10:40 Eastern Standard Time, AM that is, as well as on the other side of things, Canada and Switzerland. That started at 3:10 Eastern Standard Time. Both games, obviously, winner will go to the gold. Will go on to play for the gold, whereas the loser will go on to play the bronze. I'm not surprised, but the U.S., Sweden, Canada, all going on, especially with Poulin finally being back in the Canadian lineup. That obviously that will change things and a potential U.S. Canada matchup here. But you can never count out the Swedes. Now, obviously, the surprise, in fact, is Switzerland, but they are starting to pump out some good, solid athletes out there. And that will about do it for today's episode. Unless if I'm missing anything else, it doesn't seem like it. Otherwise, thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I know it's kind of fast and kind of awkward timing, but it's just now with the men's officially wrapping up the round robins. Here we go. So, see you guys next week.